Welcome to Nebraska Preps Postgame with your hosts, Mike Sautter and Jacob Padilla.
Hey, everyone. Welcome into another episode. This is called an episode of Nebraska Preps Postgame. Jacob Padilla and I here ready to break down kind of the state quarterfinals. Might talk some volleyball, too, because the state championships happened over the weekend. And so let's just get right to it. What do you want to do first? Volleyball? You watched a lot of volleyball.
I did. Yeah, let's go ahead and knock that out off the top.
Okay.
So I think we got to start with
Scott, nine-time champs in a dominant way. Like, way dominant. Even like semis were dominant, like the whole.
Yeah. Well, and, I mean, you look at their record.
And no one expected that, honestly.
13 losses. I saw them play early in the season, and they were good, but I wasn't blown away. And then they went through their tour of the United States that they always do, and you saw them kind of not having as much success as maybe they have in the past. You think, oh, maybe this is the year. And in the semifinals, like, they won, but I don't know that they played amazing volleyball, at least offensively. Like, they were just so good defensively to make their way back to the championship, take down Elkhorn North in a rematch from last year's final. But man, they were just unbelievable in that championship match. There was nothing North could do. Went on big runs every set, and they couldn't answer. So
we're dominant. That's the word. I mean, all three matches are basically pretty dominant, I guess I would say.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Scott,
pretty remarkable too. One senior is all. She's really good though.
Paisley Douglas, USC commit.
She's really good.
Yeah. But the only one. So everybody else is coming back next year.
They will obviously clearly be the favorite again.
I think maybe the biggest difference maker in the game was Kiera Link, middle blocker. Nearly had a double-double, 10 kills, 9 blocks, and Norris just couldn't find a way to kill the ball against them. Right. It was a lot of errors or a lot into the block. So really impressive for Scott. I think Lincoln Lutheran also in C2 kept the streak alive.
Yeah,
although
that one was a little tougher.
They had to earn that 5-set win for the Warriors to win their third straight Class C2 state title. The Billy and Sophie Wogelmuth combined for 39 kills. Carrie Leinbach was credited with 36 digs, and she made a few plays down the stretch in that 5th set that were just jaw-dropping.
Credit to Clarkson Lee for getting it to 5. Though.
Oh, 100%. Lincoln Lutheran, they went up 2-0. It looked like, okay, this is over. And they battled back to send that thing to a 5th. So that was one of the best championships of the day.
Is it weird that when we think high school volleyball, like Class A is almost an afterthought? Is it because it's the 7 p.m. game and it's after,
I think probably is a little bit
scheduled for 7 p.m.
It was 8
definitely
something.
No, it was exactly 9.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
9 o'clock.
All right. Yeah. That's what happens when you schedule for sweeps.
That's just what you expect, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But I think Lincoln Southwest helped that because it was a dominant win for them. Sweep over Papillion Vista.
Yeah.
Who I think Papio knocking out Papio South in the first round. You're like, oh.
That was
okay, because you kind of coming into it thinking, okay, is anybody going to be able to touch them? It's probably them and everybody else. And to go down in the first round, really impressive. Like, Papillion Vista was playing out of their minds in that match. Faith Frame, the libero heading to Cincinnati, she literally left it all out there. She cramped up on the final play of the match. If Mia Taverdi hadn't killed that thing, I don't know what would happen for them. But They got that win and advanced to the final, but man, they just had no answers. Lincoln Southwest went on huge runs in the first set and finished the match on an 11-0 run. Just a senior heavy group. Senior setter Malaya Long, unbelievable, headed to Marquette. Yeah. Emerson Lineberger had a really good week at state, going to Air Force. Led them 11 kills in the final, and defensively they held Papio to 0-34 hitting. So that'll win you a lot of matches. The Class A title we thought maybe would be a little bit more interesting than it was. The C1 title also went 5. Minden avenged their own. Minden went through the whole season, undefeated until the sub-district final.
Yeah,
and they dropped it to Kearney Catholic. Got them back in the championship and pulled that thing out 15-10 in the 5th.
Yeah,
and just unbelievable performance. They have kind of Maddie Camry and Maya Emery kind of do it all for them. Both are setters and hitters.
Right.
They both had triple doubles in the final match. Camry had 22 kills. Emery had 12. So really impressive season by Minden. D1 Sumner Eddie Miller, Micah O'Neill.
Yeah, she was great.
Micah
Watching
O'Neill.
her in their first match, I was like, yeah, she's pretty good.
She had 83 kills in 3 matches.
Yeah, it's incredible.
12 sets, 83 kills at 33 in the final, 35 in that first round.
Pretty dang good photo of her.
You were excited about that.
Very good.
Good one to use. And then Overton started the day with the sweep over Cambridge, knocked out the number 1 seed to win their first state title.
A bit of an upset.
Jolie Ryan, coach's daughter, led the attack there. Natalie Wood had a big match as well. So, Great run by Overton, and started off the state championship day well. So those are all 6 state champions. Fun season of volleyball. I think this is the most volleyball I've covered from a high school standpoint. So it was a fun way to cap it out 4 days at state.
Yeah. All right. Let's move on to football and what happened in football, because there were not a lot of close games that, I think, here's my question. Do we, as fans, journalists, people that cover this thing, do we just try and find, I feel like we always try and find a reason why this game is going to be close or whatnot. So we just talk ourselves into the narrative, and
49-0. West Side over Bellevue West.
31-7 Millard West over Grand Island.
45-0 Millard South over
on North.
The one close game.
Elkhorn South and Lincoln East was close.
That was
it.
24-19 final for Elkhorn South there.
Yeah.
You want to start with that one?
Yeah, let's start with that one. That's fine.
Brady Bousquet again. 23 carries, 125 yards, and 3 touchdowns.
And they have to ride him.
And they've done it, and he has answered the bell every single week since Carson Ronner went down.
Right.
Madden Riggs
and that defense.
Yeah, completed 7 passes, 122 yards. Had a couple of long ones. Ethan Duda, who's impressive out there. I know Nebraska offered him walk on. He's one of the military academies looking at committed to, right? And Ains Gratis had a deep one as well. So it got just enough in that passing game to allow Bousquet to kind of carry him home there. But credit to Lincoln East. Yeah.
Jeter Worthley run around and make plays.
Yeah.
He's never quit guy too.
No.
Never quit.
So really impressive showing by them to stay in it. But in the end, Elkhorn South pulled it out, and they will face Millard South, who, man,
it's a rematch. The Millard South game. Listen, I was expecting Millard South and Omaha North. It started at 8 because of the doubleheader. So I went to West Side, and then I said, okay, when that's over, I'll make it to the second half. I pull in, it is 31-0.
Yeah.
And it's like a minute before halftime, and I look at myself, I'm like, what am I doing? I picked the wrong game to go to in the second half. Just dominant.
Yeah.
Like, that's just the only way you shut out someone in the quarterfinals. It's pretty dominant.
Yeah, so we know North likes to run the ball. North South held them to 49 yards on 30 carries.
That's crazy.
They had a bunch of sacks on Serco, and he only threw for 107 yards. They just could not get anything going.
I will say this: Tyson Terry got hurt in the first half. Ankle, I think it's just rolled ankle something. But so he didn't play the rest of the game. He went back in, tried to play, didn't play the rest of the game. So that matters, but it's not going to change.
In the end, he wasn't scoring points for him.
There was no way. Yeah.
So that maybe it could have made it more competitive. But Millard South is always going to win that the way they were playing.
Yeah.
Tamala 14-19 for 289 yards, 3 touchdowns and a pick. Nolan Fella again, 16 carries, 87 yards, 2 touchdowns. He had 5 catches, 162 yards, and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
So
he was starting to count them. Like when he got to the 4th one, he was counting.
Yeah,
hey, that fella there, it's pretty good.
You've been waiting for that one.
I've used it more than once.
He outgained Omaha North by himself. by a significant margin.
That's
so
crazy.
I think that's all you need to know. Marion Jackson,
pretty good.
105 yards on 6 catches, continuing to play
1,000-yard
well
receiver
there.
as a sophomore too.
It's pretty good.
Pretty hard to do.
Not bad.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's Elkhorn South and Millard South. You seen a game time set for that? Because I haven't seen.
It's 7. Yeah,
I hadn't seen one.
It's 7. There's no doubleheader, so it's 7. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was at that previous matchup. We talked about it then. It was a weird game.
I don't.
Not really much to take away from that.
Yeah, it won't play out like that this time, just because you won't have the major injury and the emotion that goes with that.
Yeah. And
so
Madden Riggs has had several weeks now as a starter to settle in, to get used to it.
I'm not saying the game will be different as far as the outcome. I'm just saying that
the way it plays out. Millard South has gotten a lot better offensely from that game too, because they did not play particularly well. They had a defensive score. They 2 defensive scores. They had some few weird plays that put points on the board for them. Obviously knocked Runner out mid-game. So I think it'll be a lot different in this one, just in terms of the way it plays out. But
just game flow will be a lot different, probably. Maybe not.
We'll see. Can Elkhorn South run the ball against that front? Yeah, they were not able to do it the first time, but Brady Bousquet didn't play in that one either.
They're going to have to.
Yeah, he did not play in that game.
To win that game, they have to.
Yeah, 100%. So I think that's got a chance to be pretty interesting, just with the changes from the last time they saw each other. The other semifinal, West Side.
Millard West kind of just handled
31-7 against Grand Island, just gradually kind of pulled away.
Yeah, I watched it and or the first half of it, and they just kind of they were just too much, I would say.
Yep. So now we got to see what Jackson Williams and company can do against Omaha West Side, who again 49-0. The first time Bellevue West has been shut out in how long?
Long time.
Yeah. So really impressive.
Listen, that game was over, like from the jump.
It was 7-0 after one quarter, 21-0 second quarter ball game. So
it was now turnovers, like there were a couple big turnovers, right? Like the first one, the first turnover Bellevue West had was their first drive, and it was like Westside, I guess, tackled the receiver basically, and it wasn't called. And then, they take over at the 9 or 10 or 11 or whatever it was. So it kind of snowballed a little bit quick. But the key stat, and it is crazy if you think about it, a team that won 49-0, time of possession was remarkable. Like, Bellevue West didn't score a point, but had the ball for 38 minutes and 27 seconds. And that means Westside had the ball for 9 minutes and 33 seconds.
I was going to say, if you're not aware, there's only 48 minutes in a high school football game. So
Westside had the ball for 9:33 and scored 49 points. That's incredible stat.
Broke them off every.
Yeah. Now I will say this. So like you had a goal line fumble from Bellevue West, those sort of things. But it was at halftime. It was over.
Basically, more of what we've seen from them most of the season. Like that West Side team just.
Well, it was 20.
What more can we?
I mean, it was 35-0 at half. So, or 30. It wasn't 35.
Yeah, it was 28-0 at halftime.
28-0 at half.
Did not get any closer. Anthony Rizak, 239 total yards and 4 total touchdowns. Jamez Ross, 129 total yards and 2 touchdowns. Then Brody got in there, 4 carries, 2 touchdowns, 82 yards.
Yeah, long one. That was their first score of the second half.
Yeah. So just again,
second score.
West Side continues to roll. Really shut down that
Christian Jones had another big play too for a touchdown. So across the middle, actually.
58-yard receiving touchdown. 6 tackles on defense. Well, I kind of want to go back and just see like how many long touchdowns he's had. Like he's got to be. It just seems like every time he scores, it's breaking off a long one, like 50+ yards, 40+ yards. He's just been an unbelievable weapon for them on offense. So that is Class A. It is set. West Side versus Millard West, and Millard South versus Elkhorn South. So 5 of the top 4 seeds advance in A. Not a lot of upsets there. Kearney's the only top 4 seed that failed to make it there.
Okay, moving on to B real quick.
Same seeds.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 5.
Yeah. 1, 2, 3. Yeah,
but 5, it was a much more interesting. There were some two close games and 2 others that teams were in control. So
hey, remember when I said, let's just start with Bennington. Yeah. Remember when I said you have to score 21 to beat them? North scored 20 and almost did.
Yeah. Bennington only had 23.
That's what I'm saying.
But
21's the number.
Yeah, 100%. But the story of the game, again, Quentin Archer, 34 carries for 232 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Peyton Sandman had a touchdown, threw a 39-yard touchdown to Cooper Johnson. But that defense, Jack Jansen led the way, 11 tackles.
Jack Jansen is a stud.
Gavin Olsen had a pick. Ben Gilliland forced a fumble, 7 tackles. So, like, they just have so many.
Listen, Jack Jansen is a stud.
I mean, you could say that about how many different guys on that defense?
He is really good.
Yeah.
And they moved him from offensive line to defensive line, or defensive from tackle to DN this year, like full time, right? Because they don't play both ways. And that's like taking one from the team for the team, because he's maybe a better offensive lineman.
Yeah. Well,
he's good.
Yeah.
And I've talked Kyler Lorson, obviously I've talked about a ton, but like that Jack Jansen needs some, like, okay. Anyway. Sorry.
Yep. So Bennington held on there. That defense got it done. Held Norris, who has been on an absolute roll, to 20 points there. The other side, Elkhorn North, 21-3 first half against Scottsbluff. Just kind of fell behind early on. But
there's a muff punt that kind of gave Elkhorn North good field position, and just a little.
Kind of played out similar way to their game against Waverly, where Scottsbluff made a few too many mistakes early on, dug themselves a hole. They got going a little in the second half, but not enough to get fully back into it. Sebastian Boyle finished 89 yards. So for his career, 673 carries for 5,079 yards and 6 touchdowns.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Shout out to that kid for a phenomenal career. And Nate Kelly's got a chance to kind of carry them for the next 3 years. It's
gonna have to.
Scottsbluff, you can find a few pieces around him for what he did as a freshman this year. In that game, 111 yards and a touchdown passing. Had a touchdown rushing, 51 yards, 7 tackles, just kind of does it all for them. I mean, all season long, offensively, they were a 2-man show. Boyle and Kelly accounted for, it feels like, 90% of their yards. So you got Kelly coming back, but going to have to find a way to replace Boyle next year.
So go ahead.
Yeah, so Elkhorn North and Bennington, 1 versus 5.
Yeah, 14-0 the first time, but that was that super windy night.
Yeah.
It was, you couldn't throw the ball at all. Not like either one is going to throw it very well against both those teams. I don't know. I'm guessing there's not going to be a scoring explosion in that game going like on Friday night. But
again, first 1 to 3 scores probably wins.
Probably.
3 touchdowns.
It'll be close. So Scott Waverly is the matchup that kind of everyone sort of thought, but it almost wasn't.
Scott, man.
Blair, credit to the Bears.
And we talked about it, like Damon and I said preseason, like Blair, top 10 team. You got a quarterback, you got a running back, you got some defensive players. Kind of stumbled through the season and tough schedule, whatever. Couldn't find a way to win any of those big games, really. But they put it together for the postseason run. Scored that big win in the previous round, and nearly took down Scott. Played him closer than anybody not named Bennington this year.
Last second field goal.
Yeah. And I mean, at the high school level, field goals are never. You never feel great unless you got a Tristan Alvano back there, and there aren't many kids like him. Yeah. So
Scott wins. Waverly 45-21. The Hastings offense, they're going to score some points. So but Waverly obviously moves on. That is those Class B matchups are going to be a defensive. If you like defensive football, those are going to be. That's what you're going to get in both those games. I think.
I mean. You just look at these matchups and who Waverly might have the best quarterback left. I mean, they're all pretty similar. They're all kind of runners first.
Guys, yeah.
But Nolan Moss, 15-19, 221 yards and 2 touchdowns, 79 yards on 14 carries on the ground for Waverly against Hastings. Nathan Axman, 17 carries, 145 yards and a touchdown, and 4 catches for 114 yards and 2 touchdowns. 259 yards and 3 touchdowns for Axman. And Aiden Smith added 100 yards and 3 scores on the ground. And it's interesting, like Evan Cassins obviously came into the year as kind of their returning running back starter, that have kind of shifted him more to a receiving threat as Axman and Smith have kind of emerged as the workhorses in that backfield. They just got so many difference makers offensively there. So Waverly Scott, that's got a chance to be, I mean, both these semifinals, I think we've got a really good 4 teams left here. Should make for some fun football on Friday night.
Yeah, I should be fun. Like we will have all 4 covered in some form or fashion too, which is great. As far as our team. So yeah, C1. Let's just run down it real quick.
Wahoo escaped.
Yeah.
12-7 in that one.
Crazy. And then Sydney wins, beats Pierce. Pierce had to go out there, but like Sydney, hey, that would be something, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Like, Isaac Doty I've mentioned his name a few times, had some monstrous stat lines. He basically puts that team on his back every single week between passing and running there. The majority of their yards had 4 touchdowns again, over 300 yards of offense from the quarterback position, plus 10 tackles on defense. So pretty good player there. I mean, Keenan Valverde went over 100 yards, had a couple of touchdowns. Champion White had a touchdown in the air and 2 rushing, but in the end, couldn't quite get enough stops there. Sydney pulled it out 41-34. So again, another close one, but we'll get Wahoo against Sydney there in the semifinal at 3:30.
Yeah,
I believe
I'll be there.
Yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm. I'll be out there. They're doing it for the travel part. And then Ashland Greenwood and Boone Central, another rematch, and both teams just rolled, which kind of, I guess, to be expected.
Yeah.
But Ashland Greenwood, Boone, they played earlier this year. It was like Boone kind of controlled it. So we'll see. It's up in Albion. I think the first time they played was in Albion too. So
the 2 best running backs in C1 was Drake Zimmerman and Parker Bohr. Zimmerman had almost 200 yards. Bohr had 174. Jacobson threw for 280 yards and 2 scores for Ashland Greenwood. So you've got that kind of dual threat option there where he can throw and he can run if they can protect him well enough, get the receivers open. Whereas James Fogelman, he'll complete a few passes here or there, but he's also more of a runner first. Had 134 yards in the against Auburn. That was a 56-7 win for them. 34-8 win for Ashland Greenwood against Adams Central there. So, that'll be 7 p.m. on Friday there in C1. So again, I think Sydney, we don't know just because we haven't really seen them because of where they are in the state or whatever in terms of, but I think clearly Wahoo, Boone Central, and Ashland Greenwood, those are the 3 best teams all season long.
Yeah. And then C2 fast, Norfolk Catholic just dominates Kearney Catholic.
55-7.
Figured, and then Fillmore Central making a run.
Well, and they were down 14-0 after 1 quarter and came back and won that thing 30-20. Trevor Roach, monster game, 176 yards, 2 scores rushing, had a 9-yard reception, 11 tackles, 2 pass breakups, and a fumble recovery.
And then Ord, 47-21 over Mitchell.
Dylan Hurlbert, Trent McCain are the guys that had big gains for them.
It's coming a little bit, right? They lost their 2 games at the beginning of the year to Norfolk Catholic and Battle Creek. So pretty good, healthy Battle Creek. And then UTAN shocker a little bit. Yeah, UTAN shocker, right?
26 over the 2 seed Oakland Craig.
Yeah, that a little bit of a shocker there, but hey. Go ahead.
Walk on football commit for Nebraska.
Yeah. Walker. You're like Whacker. Sorry.
Yeah.
He's a guy. They will give him the ball 40 times if they need to win the game.
And that defense, 3 picks and held Oakland Craig to 27 yards rushing.
Yeah,
that'll get it done.
That's gonna work. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, that'll do it for Nebraska Preps post game. Your shout outs, a couple. What are you gonna need to do?
That was just kind of the In
We said
D1,
11 man. Yeah, go through your 8-man stuff quick.
1 seed Stanton versus 5 seed Sandy Creek in D1, and then 3 seed Crofton against 7 seed EMF. There in D2, the quarters are or semis rather are South Loop, the 4 seed against Sandfield Thedford, the 8, and 2 seed Why Not versus Howes Dodge again, the 11 seed, making it back here. They just find a way every single postseason to make a run to Lincoln.
Well, their coach is actually pretty good, so that matters.
And then finally in D6 we've got the 1 seed SEM against 5 seed Wilcox Hildreth, and the 6 seed Lincoln Parkview dominant win in the quarterfinals there against Hay Springs, a 7 seed. So we got 1, 5, 6, 7 there in 6-man.
Yep.
So a lot of football to talk about next week. You'll hit up a couple games.
Yeah,
I'll be out somewhere. We'll figure it out
on Friday. I'll be at the Wahoo game, and then be headed to Buell for hopefully a little more competitive game than what I saw in the second half last week.
And we'll be back to recap it all next week.